free throws, the biggest difference maker, the Pacers turned the ball over 23 times and coughed up 32 points, while the Thunder committed only 11 turnovers and allowed 9 points. Now the series heads back to Indianapolis for Game 6. That'll be this Thursday night. College World Series number 3 Arkansas eliminated Murray State with a 3-0 win. 19 strikeouts and the complete game no-hitter for the Razorbacks' Gage Wood, who tossed the third no-hitter in College World Series history and the first since 1960. Save big when you bundle auto and home, renters, or condo with Progressive.
That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Protect your home and auto with a bundle from Progressive so you can stop worrying about them and invent new things to worry about, like snakes in your bedroom. Sure, that sounds incredibly irrational, but now that we've mentioned it, you are a little worried. The odds of one snake, let alone snakes plural, are so slim. But you might want to check. Oh, you're not near your bedroom. Guess you'll just have to sit there and worry about it. So let Progressive protect your home and auto, because you've got enough to worry about. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Give me those sauces, grab the chicken strips, let's dunk them in there. There's nothing like it. Hey, I'm Joey. And I'm Josh. And we're team members at our local Chick-fil-A. And a little thing you'll love about the Chick-fil-A chicken strips is dipping them in our sauces. My sauce is the barbecue sauce. If you wanted to add sweet, tangy flavors, there's nothing like it.
I love the garden herb ranch sauce, but if you want a little bit more kick in the spicy side, you can mix it with buffalo sauce.
Dipping them in our sauces, it is perfection.
It's the summer of Chick-fil-A chicken strips and sauces. Order now on the Chick-fil-A app. Team members paid for their testimonials.
If you want to be an alpha,
you've got to get the winning edge.
It's kind of a necessary ingredient if you want to lead the pack. So mark your territory
with the winning edge.
You're in the big leagues. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Scott Wetzel.
All right, welcome to Football Full Circle right here on the SportsGrid Radio Network, Sirius Channel 159. Joe Lisi and Scott Wetzel talking all things NFL. A little bit quiet in terms of the news front, but a report up on NFL.com interviewed John Lynch, GM of the San Francisco 49ers, Scott. They asked him some questions. He said it was a very uneasy offseason. They had to get a little younger, had to get a little cheaper. We know they signed their star quarterback, Brock Purdy, to a 5-year, $265 million deal, but they have the fourth best price in the NFC up on FanDuel to win the championship at plus 950. San Francisco, contender or pretender in 2025?
I say pretender. I think their reign is done. They've fallen into the trap, Joe, of paying these quarterbacks these ridiculous amounts of money. They've already lost several players because of it. I really thought that John Lynch would have been the outcrier. He would have said, nope, see you later. Go ahead and walk, Brock. You want to maybe franchise him 1 year, maybe. But you know what? If I can win with the last pick in the draft, I could go get a quarterback in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th round. There were so many teams. I hate to keep bringing this all up, Joe, but there were so many teams that Shedeur Sanders would have been like the perfect fit for. And this would have been one of them. You know what? We're just going to reload. You had your chance. We surround you with star talent, Pro Bowl players. You didn't win a championship. And, we'll play out this year. And then you want to leave us? Go ahead. I'm not paying a quarterback $55 million. I'm just not doing it. So you got Christian McCaffrey, 1 year older, coming off an injury. He's an injury waiting to happen. You get rid of Deebo Samuel. You lose some players on defense. I think I bought into them last year when a lot of people kind of saw that coming, and not this year. I think they're pretenders, long story short.
I agree with you. I think there's a lot of question marks. The injury to Brandon Ayuk, how does he return this year? George Kittle, they re-signed him, but battled injuries all of last season as well. And you mentioned Christian McCaffrey, the X factor, right? They did catch lightning in a bottle when they acquired him from Carolina. Prior to that, he couldn't make it through a regular season. They got to a Super Bowl and couldn't win it. So I agree with you as well. I don't think they're worth the plus 950 price right here, right now. Now, maybe in the month of October, after they have a body of work and you could see what the defense gives you, maybe you could buy into the San Francisco 49ers. I will say movement on the LA Rams, though. You look at the top 3 prices in the NFC, Scott. LA was right there with Green Bay and Washington. They were jumbled in much of the offseason in terms of double-digit prices. They're now 3rd best price in terms of the conference, right ahead of their division rival, the San Francisco 49ers, at 9-1 Are you buying into the movement with Matt Stafford and now Devontae Adams from the offensive side of the ball?
Yeah, I'd buy into them a whole lot more than I would San Francisco. I got to tell you, I'm surprised the Niners are that high, to tell you the truth. But the Rams, on paper, listen, they were a couple throws away. They had a chance to beat Philadelphia last year in Philadelphia in the snow. We all looked at that performance and say, boy, you know what? Now they had Devontae Adams. I think that's only going to help. Pretty good wide receiving core. You got a terrific running back in Kyron Williams. I guess Stafford wants to be there. I don't know what that orchestra was in the offseason with him being able to talk to other teams, and then he doesn't make a trade and he comes back to the Rams. That's kind of weird, but let's just say he wants to be there. And if that's the case in that division where, it's not a very good division at this point, I could see the Rams being the third choice. Yeah, I think they're legit contenders, Joe.
I do as well. Now, the back-to-back 10-win seasons, right? They go and they knock off Minnesota. They win the division last year due to the lack of explosiveness for San Francisco down the stretch, especially from a defensive perspective. San Francisco did not step up, but I'm looking at the odds right now, and forget the 9-1 to potentially win the championship. If we're looking, let's say, big picture on the LA Rams, Scott, I still believe Philadelphia is the best team in the conference. I think they have a great shot to make it back to the Super Bowl. So if you're looking at LA overall, and we're looking at stages of elimination for the LA Rams this year, losing the divisional round is plus 430. Losing the championship round is plus 850. So if you're not buying in maybe wholeheartedly to the Rams at 9-1 to win the NFC, the plus 430 and plus 850 price, as long as they make it to the playoffs, is pretty intriguing to me.
Yeah, that's not bad. Now you got to try and figure out, okay, who's going to have home field advantage? Who's going to be the home team? Is it going to be Philadelphia with their schedule? Is it going to be the Rams or one of the other teams, right? So you try and figure out if you can hedge a little bit, right? If you get them into the championship game, you don't want to have them actually go to the Super Bowl. You lose your bet. You want to bet the other team just in case, or bet on them just in case, right? So 850, I tell you, that's actually a little bit higher than I thought it would be. NFC's got to be pretty good this year. I do believe that. I think you're going to get a couple surprise teams, and I'm not sure which team is going to emerge as the number one seed, but at plus 850, I would take my chances on. I like that bet, actually.
I like them both, actually. I like the plus 430 in the divisional round as well. We have to see how the rushing attack looks with Blake Corum and obviously Kyron Williams. We know that when they run the football effectively, they can work off a play action. Puka Nacua is going to be the star wideout on that team. But now you sprinkle in Devontae Adams, you sprinkle in some young talent, especially on the defensive side of the football. If that defense can elevate and progress from where they were at the end of the regular season last year, LA has a legitimate shot to potentially challenge, maybe as a dark horse for a championship price. When you look at San Francisco, Scott, a same type of situation. Niners to miss the playoffs in the stages of elimination, plus 165. I think that's a pretty good bet, especially if you're looking for regression. You know how I feel about Arizona to potentially be a dark horse in the NFC West. I like them at plus 440 to challenge maybe the likes of the LA Rams. But if you're not buying into the Niners as a whole, to miss the playoffs at plus 165 isn't a bad number either.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I would make that bet for only plus 165 right now, but do I think they're going to make the playoffs, Joe? No, I don't. So you could bet that. You could bet they're under team total. There's different ways to attack that sort of thing, but I think that's a cash and ticket. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. Like, the division's pretty easy. I get that. But, man, you think about all the teams now in the NFC. You got Philadelphia. You got Washington. I think Dallas is going to be at least halfway decent. You got all the teams in the NFC North. You got Carolina that I think is actually going to be halfway decent. I don't know if they make the playoffs, but I think they'll be a 500 team. There's a lot of you got Tampa Bay. I don't know how they get it. I'm not high on San Francisco at all. If Brock Purdy couldn't do it last year without his star players, then I don't know how he's going to necessarily turn around and be that much better this season. So plus one and change, that's probably a winning ticket. But like I said, realistically, would I put it in for that low of a price? No, but I don't think they make the playoffs.
More important to the team's success, Christian McCaffrey or Brock Purdy?
Oh, Christian McCaffrey. Yeah, definitely. We saw Brock Purdy last year without McCaffrey and how that play out. So give me a backup quarterback in Christian McCaffrey versus Brock Purdy and no Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, we'll see. And we'll see what they get out of Brandon Ayuk, right? Ricky Pearsall did show glimpses towards the end of the regular season, had a breakout performance against the Detroit Lions on primetime. If you get that type of performance over a 17-game schedule and season, and Pearsall maybe gets 900 to 1,000 receiving yards, that opens up the offense. Let's not forget, Juwan Jennings, for much of the regular season last year, led all the wideouts in terms of receiving yards and receptions. So we'll see what Brock Purdy does. I do think that when you look at the prices as a whole, I'm not buying into San Francisco. I like some players. I just don't know if that defense steps up. I know Salah's back in terms of coaching that unit. We'll see if he can elevate them to a championship level. But for me, Scott, it's boom or bust with the Philadelphia Eagles. We're just getting started. When Scott and I return, we'll dive into some prop bets that we broke down throughout the week right here on Football Full Circle. Coming right back. Keep it where it is.
5 scientists agree it's smarter to be on SportsGrid. And we're pretty sure that one scientist is still a virgin.
He just gives that vibe.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
With your news flash, I'm Trey Westerberg. This update brought to you by Sky Rizzi. All 50 states as well as Washington, D.C. and 4 U.S. territories have agreed to sign a $7.4 billion settlement with the company and once prominent family behind OxyContin. The settlement resolves pending litigation against Purdue Pharma, which under the leadership of the Sackler family invented, manufactured, and aggressive
construct designed to control us, man. But regular you knows you don't want to be too far out in the water after the sun goes down because vacation you doesn't know how to navigate in the dark yet. Vacation you and regular.
Unfair advantage for the latest sports gaming information. If you're looking for luck,
go find a horseshoe.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Scott Wetzel.
All right, back on Football Full Circle, breaking down all things in the offseason NFL. Lisi and Wetzel breaking it down. Left off talking about the NFC West, Arizona, LA Rams, San Francisco 49ers. Scott and I both believe the 49ers potentially regress and take a step back. I like them at plus 165 to miss the playoffs. But FanDuel, again, adding more categories each and every day on the NFL side. They do a fantastic job. Scott, they have now team specials for each team, which I think is pretty intriguing. So We'll jump into them. Pick a team, and we'll dive into their specials for 2025. Give me something. Give me something juicy. Who do you want to talk about?
Give me the Ravens, Baltimore Ravens.
All right, so Baltimore Ravens team special. You ready? Baltimore to score, first bet on the team specials this year. Baltimore to score 1+ touchdown in every regular season game is minus 185. Not field goals, touchdowns. You buying in?
I'll give you like 3 categories. 4. Buy in. 3. Buy in wholeheartedly. Buy in if you could put it in a parlay, or not buy in. I'd buy in if I could put it in a parlay, which I don't think you can with these.
Let me just double check. Check that. You can, Scott. You can.
Really?
Yeah.
That's good. Put it in now because sometimes they change their mind on these things. I can't.
All right, you can't. No, I thought you could. You can't.
You spoiled me. I knew that was too good to be true.
That would have been. We'll see. You never know. They might add.
I know they do. It's really goofy how they change their mind on these things, Joe. Why wouldn't you? I mean, maybe you don't want to correlate it, but whether you think Baltimore's going to score a touchdown in every game and pick another team, Arizona, what's the difference? Put it in a parlay. You would think they would encourage parlays because they got a better chance of winning those bets, right? I don't know why they allow certain things and not others.
It is interesting. It's all about mitigating risk, as we know. So you could always bring that up. The books don't want to be, overextended in the offseason with about 3 months left until we kick it off. So that could be one of the reasons. But let's look at you brought up the Baltimore Ravens. Let's look at the Chiefs because they're intriguing. Because we both think that when you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, granted they make it to the AFC Championship for the past 7 years, played in the Super Bowl and lost. But now in the AFC West, right, it's getting much more competitive. Teams like the LA Chargers with Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh, teams like Sean Payton in Denver and Big Bad Bo Nix will leave the Raiders out of it. They're in a complete rebuild, potentially with Pete Carroll. Kansas City to be 6-0 in the AFC West this year, Scott, is 7-1. Now, they played very close games last year. 2-point win over Denver at home, 2-point win over the Chargers at home. That being said, 7-1 isn't a bad number.
Well, the question would be if you played, let's just say $100 to win $700, right? If you played Kansas City, if you put $100 money line on Kansas City every division game for 6 games and rolled it over, would you get more than $700?
Probably.
I got a feeling you would.
You would. Now let's not forget. Let's not forget. Last year, with the number 1 seed already wrapped up, they went on the road with Carson Wentz as basically a 9-point dog and got blown out 38-0. So you are exposed at the end of the regular season if they do have the division and/or first seed wrapped up. There's the potential to rest starters. I got to look at the schedule to see when their last divisional game is. But 7-1, you might not be able. You might be able to get me in. The other one, and I'll get your take because I like this one as well, but it's not as good in terms of the price. Philly to be 6-0 in the NFC East is only plus 360, Scott.
Yeah, I don't like that one as much. Even though, the AFC West is going to be tough, but I'll put my money in Patrick Mahomes' back pocket more than I would Philadelphia. You got 2 tough games against Washington. Remember, Washington beat them last year.
Yep.
Dallas is going to be a little bit better. And I know I'm an outlier here, but I actually think the Giants could at least be somewhat respectable with their defense this year. So plus 360, yeah. I mean, those games against Philadelphia and Dallas on the road, right? They'll be favored against the Giants on the road. But Philadelphia against Washington, is that going to be close to pick 'em, I would think? Philadelphia, Dallas, probably a favorite depending on when they play and how well Dallas is doing. But not, I don't think they'll be a monster favorite. So that 360 wouldn't be that difficult. 7-1, yes, but 360 versus just rolling it over, I would just roll it over. How about Kansas City? Back to the chefs here for a second. How about Kansas City? Now I know they were shut out last game, 38-0. So this would have made this bet a loser. But the Chiefs to score 1 touchdown in every game, plus 110. Remember, Baltimore was minus 185. I mean.
I would take it a step further, and I'm greedy. You know me. If you're buying, and I know that this is potentially you're on the outside, but we know about Pat Mahomes to have 1 passing touchdown in every regular season game, plus 850.
That's not bad. Let me see his numbers last year. How many games do you think last year didn't he throw a touchdown pass?
I think
I'm going to say like.
I think there was. I think 2. I'll say 2.
All right, let me see. Game log from last year. I only had 26, so it's got to be at least 1. He had 1, 2. Yeah, you're right, 2. He had a lot of 1s. He didn't have too many 2s, I tell you, but he had back-to-back games: San Fran and New Orleans in late October.
But it's still worth almost 9-1, and that doesn't mean Pat Mahomes. That could be anybody. So even if you're in week 17, week 18, and you got the backup in,
that's right.
Right. So it's not not specifically Mahomes. It's the team as a whole.
That's not bad. I like as bad as they were last year offensively, and I think they will be better this year with Rice coming back. Right. If he did it in every single game except only 2,
right,
at 850. That's worth a shot for sure.
That's not bad. Bad value in terms of team specials. We'll come back. We'll break down more team specials. Other odds up on FanDuel right here on Football Full Circle. Coming right back. Keep it where it is.
There's smart.
And there's not smart.
Not smart is hope as a strategy. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Keep it here.
And win. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. The SportsGrid Radio Network presents This Date in Sports History.
1954, Rocky Marciano beats Ezra Charles in his third World Heavyweight Boxing title defense at Yankee Stadium.
Winner by unanimous decision, and still the heavyweight champion of the world, Rocky Marciano.
In 1969, Marciano was killed in a small plane crash. Marciano was 46. For SportsGrid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
Socrates, Charles Darwin, and modern science do not understand why you can't tickle yourself. New tickling research at Radboud University looks into the ticklish, complex motor, social, developmental, and evolutionary neuroscience of tickling. The test lab? You sit in a chair, stick your feet through a plate, take your shoes off. A mechanical stick tickles the bottom of your feet, while a scanner records your brain waves, heart rate, sweating, increasing intensity until... And why can't you tickle yourself? Your brain turns off the tickle reflex because it knows what's coming. Follow me at G Capalbo on X and stay tuned to the Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
Moneyline.
You are what your record says you are. 31-39. It looked like the Braves had it going for a little bit, right? Back over 500. Okay, now we found our level. They're just a bad baseball team right now. Are they redeemable with a legitimate chance to, one, make the playoffs and do some damage?
Currently, right now, they're not worth anything.
Catch Moneyline with Donnie Rightside and Kevin Walsh. Weekdays, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific. On the SportsGrid Radio Network. There comes a point when the chips are down.
To coin a phrase.
When the only thing you can do is stop and wait. Do you want to face that moment prepared?
Or rely on luck?
Get the winning edge.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Scott Wetzel.
All right, back, continuing the conversation, we're looking at team specials. And FanDuel does a great job. Again, one passing touchdown in every game for the Kansas City Chiefs at plus 850. If you want one rushing touchdown for the Baltimore Ravens in every game, I believe that's minus 185. So great markets are up. We'll take a look at some other teams. Let's look at Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. We talked about the Bengals yesterday on the show. We know that they're back in talks with Trey Hendrickson. This is a pretty intriguing one because they do have their rivals up there. So for like the Washington Commanders, I believe they have the Dallas Cowboys to beat them on the road. Cincinnati to beat Pittsburgh on the road and at home in the regular season is plus 165, Scott. Now, they lost this game last year at home to Russell Wilson. That's where Russell Wilson threw for 500 yards and Burrow added about, 380 in that game? They put up a total of almost 90 points. I am buying into Cincinnati beating the Steelers at home and on the road in 2025.
Yeah, looking at their schedule, they played Pittsburgh at home in mid-October. Then they got Pittsburgh on the road, oddly enough, October 16th and November 16th. So in the second one, it comes after a bye. So it's not a bad little schedule to be able to beat them twice. I would feel more comfortable, though, at those odds if you're going to look at that. And again, I like this market. I just do. Cincinnati to score a touchdown in every game, minus 130. I like that better than getting to plus 165, even though it's plus, obviously, with Pittsburgh. But, I mean, I think they'll beat the Steelers. And the Steelers, who knows, by Aaron Rodgers, by the time they play in November. Chances are that they probably do beat them twice, to tell you the truth. But I'll take my chance. Like, how is Cincinnati not scoring a touchdown in every single game? With their offense and their defense being so bad, you look late in the year where you get some snow. You could have a snow game at Buffalo in December. Baltimore's at home. That could be snow. Then you got Arizona and Cleveland flexed out late. I mean, in a Miami road game, you might get some difficulties weather-wise. But other than that, I mean, they're not getting a touchdown in every game.
How about this? Let's take it a step further. I love to push the envelope here. Right? A touchdown and a field goal in every game is 70-1.
Oof. Can we get a field goal in every single game? We're getting a touchdown. I'm surprised they offer that. I really do, minus 130, right? So that's a winner. Can we get a field goal in every game? How about Cincinnati going 6-0 in the division? Remember, they're not facing themselves.
That's 47-1.
Right.
That's not a bad number.
You're going to beat Pittsburgh twice. Yeah, they beat Pittsburgh twice.
That's a great number. That is a great number.
When do they play Baltimore the second time? They got Baltimore twice in a 2-3 week span. Thanksgiving at Baltimore, and then 2 weeks later, Baltimore at home. I'm thinking about hedging. The good news is they are the last ones. Like, oh no, they got Cleveland to close out the regular season. That could be a meaningless game. As I'm thinking, if you play Baltimore second time, you can hedge your bet. Even first time you play them. But at 47-1,
yeah,
I like that.
I'm trying to. They have some crazy numbers here. So here's another one. We like Green Bay, right? Green Bay. Now this is pretty good. Green Bay to be 6-0 in the NFC North this year is a 44-1 number. They lost to Detroit. Is it though, Scott? Think about it. Is it? We think there's a little regression in Detroit. They got blown out in Detroit in Lambeau, right? That was the game, the first game back from Jordan Love. When he came back, he injured his groin. He wasn't 100%, and then they lost the shootout on a primetime battle to Detroit in Ford Field. They lost by 3, right? They lost to Chicago on a last-second field goal. That's where it got blocked, remember?
Right.
I mean, 44-1, though. I mean, do we think Caleb and Chicago are going to hit the ground running? I don't. Do we think J.J. McCarthy could have growing pains? I do. Now you're only worried about Detroit. It's not easy, but they're giving you 44-1. They're not giving you 10-1.
Right. You could lose your bet opening week when they host the Lions, though. It could be over before week 1 is done.
You could lose the Cincinnati bet when they lose to the Browns.
They're not going to lose to the Browns.
Right back. More prop bets.
The winning edge.
You've got it.
But not everybody has it, because not everybody listens to us.
But we're working on that.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders. Stanley Cup final tonight, Oilers and Panthers in Florida. The defending champion Panthers up 3-2 in the series. NBA final, the Thunder beat the Pacers 120-109 Monday to go up 3-2 in the best of 7. College World Series number 3 Arkansas eliminated Murray State with a 3-0 win. 19 strikeouts and the complete game no-hitter for the Razorbacks' Gage Wood, who tossed the third no-hitter in College World Series history and the first since 1960. The Razorbacks able to stave off elimination. Their next game has a trip to the semifinals on the line. They'll take on the losing team of the UCLA-LSU matchup. That was suspended last night in the 4th inning due to weather, with LSU up 5-3. They're set to resume things this morning. Oregon State and Louisville are set to play this afternoon. That's an elimination game. The winner advances to the semifinals to face Coastal Carolina. Save big when you bundle auto and home, renters, or condo with Progressive.
That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Find what you love what you find. A total wine and more. There's so much waiting for you. Spirits and beer, thousands of wines. Walk right through the door. It's all here to explore. With guides in the know and prices so low, it just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Working as a dedicated Fidelity advisor, I always ask, what's important to you? I'll look at those priorities and goals alongside your full financial picture to build a comprehensive plan designed to help grow and protect your wealth. With proactive portfolio insights and an eye on taxes, I'm here to help you make the most of your money. I'm Laura Maxwell, and I'm a dedicated Fidelity advisor. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
You're listening to Sports Grid.
Spreading the winning edge far and wide.
Terrestrial, internet, TV, satellite, and don't forget our mobile app.
Face it.
The winning edge is everywhere.
Somewhere there's a squirrel frustrated he can't get a phone.
This is the Sports Grid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Scott Wetzel.
All right, back on Football Full Circle. Scott and I love doing this too. You know, the storylines are going to be there throughout the offseason heading into training camp. What we don't talk about, and a lot of people don't, especially in the offseason, is picking off value. They have markets up. You have an opportunity, and Scott and I did some prop bets and prop parlays last week where we coupled the quarterbacks, the wide receivers, and the running backs to potentially get a 4,500 yards, 1,200 yards, and 1,000 rushing yards, respectively. We're diving into these team specials, Scott. I like this, and I know you're going to disagree with me. We talked about the Rams and the 49ers at the top of the hour and when we started the show. But Arizona to be 6-0 in the NFC West, you know I like them plus 440 to be that dark horse in the division. To be 6-0 in the division is 75-1, Scott. Again, great value for a team that has potential. Marvin Harrison comes back. I know you'll say no. But Arizona could be on the upswing, and 75-1, I'm going to make that bet.
Yeah, I'll take that bet if you want to make it. You really forget about FanDuel. Just send it my way. I'll play bookie here.
$200, $200, Scott. It'll be January 1st. Where's Scotty? We haven't seen him. You know, 14-2 Cardinals. He's gone.
Yeah, long gone. I would like to know. Let me see if I can do it here real quickly.
Yeah.
I'd like to know how many teams went 6-0 last year in their division without looking. Take a guess. And
I know it's
not Kansas City because they lost Denver.
It's not the Eagles because they lost to the Commanders. I would say, hang on, I'll tell you. Let me think. It's not Buffalo either because they lost to New England at the end of the regular season. So hang on. I'll tell you right now. I will say Baltimore.
Nope. They're 4-2.
It's not Baltimore. Houston?
Nope. 5-1. Not bad, but not even Houston. In that lousy division.
Was it Tampa? No, right? They lost.
No.
I don't know who it was. So who
Detroit.
was it?
Lions.
Only team.
The only team. Not only were they the only team, how many one-loss teams were there? Philadelphia, Kansas City. They threw that game away, but it's a loss. Right. You didn't catch the ticket. And Houston. And Buffalo.
Buffalo too.
I forgot Buffalo lost. I thought Buffalo did it, but I forgot.
They beat the Patriots when it mattered by 3 points as an 11.5, 13-point favorite in Orchard Park. And then the last regular season game, they used backups and got blown out.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't happen often. That's the point. That's why they're giving you these odds because even good teams don't do it.
See, but I think it's also important, and we got to look at the schedule, to have these divisional games sooner rather than later. Right? Because again, if you're like Buffalo, the Eagles, and you're going to rest in week 18, you don't want to have that divisional game. So let me see here. So sure enough, you look at the Cardinals, they square off against the Rams last regular season game. And I'm sure the NFL and the books know that, right? According to the schedules. Yeah. So they know. So which team which team legitimately has a good shot? Buffalo? Knowing that the AFC East is down. Let's look at their schedule.
Look at schedule.
Let's look. Do they play it? I'm sure they have a divisional game, last regular season game. Let's see.
Jets.
Buffalo Bills. Jets. Tough. Yeah, that's why I think you take the 75. I think you're better off taking the higher numbers on a team like Arizona that could just maybe be a shocker than a team that
What is Buffalo's number? What is Buffalo's number? Because who are they going to lose to? 8-1.
Not even close. Plus 350.
Oh, 350? Not even 4-1? Wow.
Doesn't even
That's
pay.
crazy. Yeah, it doesn't pay. It doesn't pay. I mean, I think they probably have one of the best chances. Them and maybe Houston, right?
So
But
let's do this, Scotty. So let's look at Buffalo quick. To score one touchdown in every game is minus 210. Okay? We know they run the football. To have a rushing touchdown in every game is 12-1. You like that number? Knowing that Cook is potentially checked in, checked out, you still have Josh Allen. It is a good number when you have a running quarterback, right? So if you look at comparative to Baltimore, now this is interesting, Scott, because Buffalo to have one rushing touchdown in every game is 12-1. Baltimore is almost double that at 22-1.
Really?
Yep.
That's weird.
Now,
with Lamar Jackson and
Lamar
Derrick Henry?
Lamar doesn't run as much.
He doesn't, but he still ran for, I don't know how many yards he ran for, but he ran for a lot. I had him on my fantasy team.
One rushing touchdown in every game, Scotty, 22-1, compared to one rushing touchdown for the Bills at 12-1. Let's see what Detroit's number is. One rushing touchdown. We know they love to run it. 12-1 as well with Detroit.
That's pretty good too.
What do you think the
Lions
Eagles
are run up the score?
Eagles are the best, the cheapest price.
Yeah,
9-1.
I bet it's about
9-1.
9-1. I was going to say 5. So
which
9-1.
Again,
Okay,
Scott,
but that's not bad.
With the tush push being back,
right?
Why not?
Yeah, that's not bad. I can't believe Baltimore's though 24-1 with Derrick Henry with his 16 touchdown. Then you throw in Lamar, 22-1. I mean, all right. I would take a flyer on that one.
All right. What about Green Bay rushing touchdown? Would you take a shot there?
What's that about? 25-1?
They don't even have it. Which is let me see if they do.
Yeah,
they do. 220-1.
Yeah. I do. You want to throw me a flyer? A couple of dollars? I mean, hey, listen, put $5 on it, you're going to win 1,000. Is that worth it? Yeah. Why not? They can run the ball, right? I mean,
yeah.
You got a 1,000-yard rusher. I could see that. Young quarterback doesn't scramble too much. But
the Steelers to have a rushing touchdown in every game, 250-1.
Wow. 250-1. No tush push with Aaron Rodgers, that's for sure. Knowing Rodgers' inability to throw the football, and knowing they don't have any great wideouts since they got rid of Pickens, they have Freiermuth, obviously, but 250-1. You'd be surprised how many times they get a rushing touchdown and win 17-14. So I would do that. I'll count on Aaron Rodgers being halfway decent enough to get him into. How about a field goal every game for Pittsburgh? What is
that number? Pittsburgh field goal?
Yeah,
that number is very low, 7-1.
Yeah, these guys don't miss a beat.
Now, FanDuel didn't put up every team. We talked about Xavier Worthy not being on the chart for leading the league in receiving yards. We found them on DraftKings at 80-1. They didn't put a team up that I thought they would, Atlanta, because I'm intrigued to see what a rushing touchdown would be, obviously, with Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson. We know that they want to run the football, even though Michael Penix returns for year number 2. I thought Atlanta would be up there. Washington, Scott, with Jaden Daniels, 22-1 to have every rushing touchdown. You buying, yes or no?
No. I don't think he's going to scramble as much this year.
We'll come back. We'll talk about Washington on the back end. Keep it where it is.
not saying every SportsGrid listener is a legend, but you might start thinking about who's going to play you in the movie. Just saying. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
With your news flash, I'm Trey Westerberg. This update brought to you by Sky Rizzi. All 50 states as well as Washington, D.C. and 4 U.S. territories have agreed to sign a $7.4 billion settlement with the company and once prominent family behind OxyContin. The settlement resolves pending litigation against Purdue Pharma, which under the leadership of the Sackler family invented, manufactured, and aggressively marketed opioid products for decades, according to the lawsuits. Local, state, and federal law enforcement officers who cover their faces while conducting official business could face a misdemeanor charge in California under a new proposal announced Monday. If approved, the bill would require all law enforcement officials to show their faces and be identifiable by their uniform, which should carry their name or other identifier. It would not apply to the National Guard or other troops, and it would exempt SWAT teams and officers responding to natural disasters. I'm Trey Westerberg with your news flash.
Now at Verizon, we have some big news for your peace of mind. For all our customers, existing and new, we're locking in low prices for 3 years guaranteed on My Plan and My Home. That's future you peace of mind. And everyone can save on a brand new phone on My Plan when you trade in any phone from one of our top brands. That's new phone peace of mind. Because at Verizon, whether you're already a customer or you're just joining us, we got you. Visit Verizon today. Price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
With Fidelity Wealth Management, a dedicated advisor gets to know you and your goals to build a comprehensive plan to help grow and protect your wealth. Backed by a team of specialists, they'll analyze all your accounts, even the ones they don't manage, to keep an eye on taxes and provide proactive portfolio insights that can help you unlock your wealth's full potential. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE SIPC.
Remember when you were thankful you could just get AM and FM?
Things have progressed.
Now even an app on your phone can give you a 21st century thrill with that little drop of heaven called
the deposit notification.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Scott Wetzel.
All right, we left off talking about Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders. Washington last year, the surprise of the NFL, they made it to the NFC Championship. Rookie of the year for Jaden Daniels, dynamic from the start of the year to the end, progressed in the passing attack. We left off talking about the rushing performance and touchdowns in every game is 22-1. Not bad. Obviously, Brian Robinson in the rushing attack, a little inconsistent at times. But when you have a mobile quarterback, Scott, Jaden Daniels, just like Lamar, Josh Allen, and Jalen Hurts, you have the potential to get it with the running back and quarterback. It's not bad at 22-1.
Yeah, he had 6 touchdowns, Daniels, last year. So, I don't know if that's necessarily going to stop. I'm sure they probably would like him to stop, running as much as he does, but I don't necessarily think that will. So, ran for 25 touchdowns as a team last year, which is a decent amount. So, at that price, again, this obviously these are all like flyers. You can't do flyers on everything. You pick and choose which ones are worth a flyer. I would think at the 22, anything 20-1 with a rushing based team, as I do think they are, even though Daniels, can throw the football. I would take a flyer on. So 22-1. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
So, I'll say this. I like the field goal bet with Washington more with them than anybody else. A field goal with them in every game is 7-1. Because I feel like even if they do, well, just because you look at some of the games even last year, like that game against Tampa to start. Now that was his first game. They got handcuffed a little bit. They struggled at times with certain games against Philadelphia. They scored a late touchdown. I think the field goals, I think with Daniels, they're at least going to be in field goal position. He could elevate that team, move the football enough to where they're at least going to get at least one field goal each and every game. Maybe they don't elevate. I don't like the regular season bet in the division, 6-0. I think this is the worst team to potentially do it when you got the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Giants. They're 16-1 to be 6-0. I don't see that. But give me a field goal with also a defensive-minded head coach and Dan Quinn. I still think they have a good shot to kick a field goal in every game at 7-1.
Yeah, I'm looking at the scores here, just looking at the numbers, and they might have had it, every game. They had 6 against the Giants, right, or 7 against the Giants in that crazy win.
Right.
They put a lot of points on the board. And there's a lot of weird numbers. There's no 21 there or 14 or 28. They're all over the map, 40, 34, 42. You'd have to look down through the field goal kickers, Seibert's numbers. But I got a feeling they had a field goal in every game last year.
So that would be good. 7-1, right? Do you like it?
Yeah. I like it.
Right.
7. Let me do the last game. No, they did against Dallas. They did. They kicked the field goal second quarter.
Yeah.
So
now the other team we didn't talk about it as much that's up on there, and again, FanDuel has a majority of the teams that don't have all 32. Denver. So I know you're high on Big Bad Bo Nix. You love what Sean Payton's done. I thought he was checked out last year. I was dead wrong in my assessment. He actually coached that team up. But you look at Sean Payton, to have a touchdown in every regular season game this year is plus 120. Not a bad number when you think about how some of the others are chalky, right? What was it, minus 185 for the Ravens? I think it was minus money for the Bills. To have Denver to score 1 touchdown in every regular season game, plus 120. And for them to have a field goal in every regular season game is 10-1.
Kansas City is plus 110, and Denver is plus 120. So we'll just say basically the same. I'd rather have Kansas City a plus 110, I got to tell you. Outside of that last game where it might be meaningless like it was last year, if that's the case, then I'll deal with that. I'll hedge somewhere along the line, even if it's in the second half and they give you an over-under on touchdown passes or touchdowns, which they do. So, it's hard not to score 1 touchdown. Again, what I would do before I would do all these bets, I would look it up. That's me. I'll take an hour and look up every single team and see, Joe, which team scored at least 1 touchdown in every single game. I can't imagine more than 4 or 5 not doing that, right? I mean, you might get one team that hasn't done it like 2 or 3 times. Yeah, but everybody scores a touchdown. There's so few. You could count on one hand how many shutouts there were last year, right? So, it could have been a 3 or a 6 point, but I love those bets. I wish, like I said, I wish they'd allow us to put it in parlays. Man, I'd put 5 or 6 of those in a parlay. I really would. And a plus and minus 110, basically pick them. And, you put 4 of those in a parlay, that's 10-1. You put 5 in a parlay, it's 20-1. I wish they allowed us to do that.
All right.
So,
how many teams do you think got shut out last year?
Not how many times, but how many teams?
Mm-hmm.
I would say 3 at most.
How about 1? Can you guess the 1?
I think the Saints didn't they? On a Monday night or a Thursday night?
Yep, against the Green Bay Packers. So that was the only team to be shut out in the 2024 season. That was the game that Spencer
Rattler, yes.
Rat.
Yeah.
Come on, Rat. Darren Rizzi and New Orleans were down 34-0. He was playing punt and pin with about 5 minutes left. He thought he was still in the game. Unbelievable. Come on, Rat. So that was the only team.
That's the only team. Wow. There you go. Now, I'm sure there were a few others that didn't score at least 1 touchdown, but not that many. That's why I'm surprised the numbers they're giving you. Minus 110 plus money on some of these. It's hard because you could score a touchdown so many ways, obviously. But as far as the game sequence, Joe, you could score a touchdown if you're competitive, or you could score an by the way touchdown because you're trailing 30-0. And it just they don't care at that point. So
he loves it. Those. Scott salivating on the season-long props up on FanDuel. We'll come back and wrap it up. Lisi and Wetzel talking NFL.
is winning the lottery. Strategy is settling your divorce before cashing in the tickets.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. SportsGrid TV and radio networks are the premier streaming video and audio channels dedicated to serving the sports wagering audience. Found on major smart TV platforms and streaming on SportsGrid Radio and Sirius XM Channel 159. SportsGrid's real-time data, expert commentary, and entertaining analysis transform viewers into informed sports enthusiasts. Our weekday radio lineup begins with the early line at 8 a.m. Eastern with Ben Stevens and Donnie Rightside. Donnie joins Kevin Walsh on Money Line at 11 a.m. Eastern, followed by Football Full Circle at noon Eastern. Kaplan and crew join the party at 1 p.m. Eastern, and Pharrell Coast to Coast keeps things rolling from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Get in the mix with Kevin Walsh and Game Time Decisions at 6 p.m. Eastern. Evenings simmer with Carver and Lisi, then boils over with Gabe Moritzi on Sports Rage Late Night at 10 p.m. Eastern. To find out where to find SportsGrid that's best for you, go to sportsgrid.com. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Imagine combining the exciting investment opportunity of cryptocurrencies with the power of artificial intelligence to maximize your IRA, 401k, or other investment funds. Listen, if you're looking for ways to accelerate your retirement growth, Block Trust IRA has market-leading strategies and solutions for all levels of investors, from $1,000 to millions. And they partner with Bitcoin Magazine's #1 crypto trading fund in the world to maximize your returns. Plus, their team of IRA specialists is here to help you roll over your IRA or qualified retirement account to the new world of cryptocurrency investments. So make this free call right now to set up your account and learn more.
800-434-5313. 800-434-5313. 800-434-5313. That's 800-434-5313.
It's stark but true.
You can either listen to SportsGrid for strategies, odds, and more, or you can pay your bills by digging in your couch cushions for change.
Just be sure to wear gloves.
Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Scott Wetzel.
All right, back wrapping up the show. We left off and we've been covering all these season-long prop bets and team bets on FanDuel. We didn't talk about Big Bad Ben Johnson and the Chicago Bears, all the optimism surrounding Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears. For Ben Johnson and the Bears to score in every game this season, you want to talk about unbelievable price. Plus 200, almost 2-1, Scott. The optimism is there for the Bears this year. I don't buy it. I wouldn't make that bet. But them to beat Green Bay on the road and at home is also plus 430. And for Caleb to throw a passing touchdown in every game this year, 26-1. You buying in on any of the Bears prices this year?
You know, I tell you, I think the Bears, Joe, believe it or not, this would be a good little water cooler test. Which team had the most games without scoring a touchdown? I looked at a few of these. Patriots had one. Browns had one. Tennessee had one. Giants would be a good one. Let me go to Giants real quickly. But the Bears, case in point, they did it 3 times last year. They were horrible. They had 3 games without scoring a touchdown. I mean, they were just horrible. Giants had one.
They got shut
Minnesota
out.
Was that 2 field goals?
What about
Minnesota?
What about the Eagles? Or did they score in that game?
Right. Eagles and Vikings were the 2 games they didn't score touchdowns. So the Bears, unless something crazy, some goofy.
They were terrible, Scott. Eberflus was horrible. That whole Waldron was horrible. I mean, you got to be kidding me when you think about that whole team and that staff. And Caleb looked like at times, look, we talked about it throughout the offseason last year. I believe in Jaden Daniels.
Right?
Does he? Does he?
2-1?
What's the guarantee? What's the guarantee?
Oh, he's just a year older. Look at Bryce Young. Who was worse than Bryce Young his rookie year? And he showed improvements by the end of last season. So
that was
he's
year
got to
3,
get
though.
better.
wasn't it?
Was it year 3?
I'm
I'm trying to remember. How long has he been in the league? Was it year 3?
I got to double.
Seems like
No.
3. But
That was year 2. Right. You're right. Him and Stroud. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. So no one was worse than Bryce Young. I mean, so if he
got
could
sacked
improve,
50 plus times. We know that they did upgrades to the offensive line. Tooney comes over from Kansas City. They upgraded the interior. They did great, you could say, in terms of the draft. Ben Johnson brings his Wonderlic mind to Chicago and Soldier Field. But again, I've seen Caleb Williams, and I saw him in college, and you know the game against Notre Dame. But when he gets pressured, he makes dumb plays. He's not like Jaden Daniels, calm under pressure. He panics at times. And at times he makes throws that, granted he could throw on the run and fit it in a very tight window, maybe, 30% of the time. But the other 70% of the time, he's either throwing turnovers or throwing interceptions or it's an incompletion. I just can't buy into this team. I'd rather be proven wrong with Ben Johnson in year number 1. Plus, not only that, Scott, he's calling out everybody. LaFleur, he's calling out Dan Campbell. Like you would think Vince Lombardi is walking on the sidelines here. He hasn't even coached a game in the NFL.
I know. Another one of our Dolphin cast-offs, by the way, former Dolphin assistant coach. They're all around the league. We got the bird brain there, Boy Wonder Jr., and all these other coaches are all successful.
But the one we didn't keep
get it, though.
is actually the winner. The one that we didn't keep in Dan Campbell, we should have, and maybe we would have a little bit of an identity.
And then don't forget they interviewed Mike Tomlin, and for somehow or another, I don't know how you could interview Mike Tomlin and not come out of that interview thinking, okay, this guy's getting the real deal, right? I mean, I don't know how the Dolphins could do that. Only the Dolphins could do that. I mean, just crazy. So, but at 2-1, I'll take now we're not asking for wins. We're just asking for a lousy stinking touchdown. So at 2-1, I would take that's got to be the highest number. I'm guessing anyway. Maybe when they post all the numbers, we'll see. But it's the highest number we've seen today. So
well, I think it's a discussion we could have tomorrow. We didn't dive into Caleb Williams' big picture, and we didn't talk about him in terms of the similarities to some of the elite quarterbacks in the conference. We'll do that tomorrow on Football Full Circle. For Scott Wetzel, Danny Ohlers, I'm Lisi. We'll see you tomorrow.
You found the advantage for gaming, odds, and more. But we call it the winning edge